You remember that morning in the kitchen at your house? And we were talking. I was going through some poems,
Yeah.
and John says to me, I was spending the night at John's. Actually, I spent quite a few nights there with John over a 50-year period of time. I met John in 1971. I believe it was 71.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And
70, 71.
70 or 71? Yes, I was one of the boys at the neighborhood house. And John was the new boys worker there. And I remember the first day I met John. And I looked at John and I thought, this dude ain't gonna make it, man. I said, and he said, far out. He had long hair and a beard. And I thought, man, this dude is gonna be different for down here, We said, we're going to have to look out for John. All the guys got together. We're going to look out for him, make sure he's okay. Because when he started playing that guitar, it was like, oh, he's going to be just fine. We love this man. And my mother loved him. And when I tell you I wouldn't be the same person I am today without this man being in my life, I mean that. I mean that.
I feel the same.
I love John Gage. He's given me strength and encouragement throughout my life, especially when I really needed it when I was a teenager and I was getting into trouble here and there. If my mother couldn't find me, guess who she'd come to find me? John. And so, thanks, John.
You're welcome, Phillip. Thank you.
And I want you to know that you've always been my little brown baby.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm proud.
I'll just take this out here.
By the way, let me make one quick comment. This is a poem. This is a Paul Laurence Dunbar poem, and for I think a good decade or more, Phillip was reading from a book that his father had given him, and it was the poetry of Paul Laurence Dunbar, Lyrics of the Lowlands, I believe. And he'd been reading and reciting poetry out of this book for at least 15 to 20 years. And so that one day in the kitchen, I said, let me see that damn book. He keep reading that book, and so I finally looked at it, and I said, everything in here could be a song. It already is. It has the perfect cadence, the structure. And then, of course, I looked at the title again, and it said Lyrics of the Lowlands. So I thought, oh, yeah, that's what he's talking about. But this is from, we worked up some ways of doing some of Paul Laurence Dunbar's poetry. He was hailed by Lowell, Robert Lowell, a great American poet. Paul Laurence Dunbar had his attention. He felt like he was one of our great poets, an African American man. Not many people know him, but there are schools named after him. But then also, Paul Laurence Dunbar was just somebody that represented and told the story accurately all the way back from enslavement times right on through to the early part of the 1900s. And Paul Laurence Dunbar is an inspiration to me. And so we work these things up, but not Little Brown Baby. So I'm waiting to see how this is going to go. We'll go with it.
This is what we always do. We just make it happen, just like we did in that kitchen. This is a poem that's written in a dialect, so it's in the same voice that the slaves used to speak in. It's a very sweet poem. I think you all will like it. I think you all will love it. And I'm going to get real close to Mr. Gage on this one.
This is it. Yeah.
Little Brown Baby by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Little brown baby with sparkling eyes, come to your pappy and sit on his knee. What you been doing, son? Making sand pies. Look at that bib, you's as dirty as me. Look at that mouth. Now that's molasses, I bet. Come here, Marie, and wipe off his hands. Bees are gonna catch you and eat you up yet, being so sticky and sweet. Goodness lands. Little brown baby with sparkling eyes, Who's Papa's darling? And who's Papa's child? Who is it every day comes in the door? Who is Papa's child? Lord, I love this baby so much. This John baby is my baby. I love it like I never loved the one before. Little brown baby with sparkling eyes. Come to your pappy and sit on his knee. What you been doing, son? Making sand pies? Take two. Look at that bib. You're as dirty as me. Look at that mouth. Now that's molasses, I bet. Come here, Marie, and wipe off his hands. Bees are gonna catch you and eat you up yet. Being so sticky and sweet. Goodness lands. Little brown baby with sparkling eyes. Who's Papa's darling and who's Papa's child? Who is it all the day never once tries to be cross or once loses that smile? Where did you get them teeth? My, you's a scamp. And where did that dimple come from in your chin? Why, Pappy don't know you. I believe you's a scamp.